So I'm here. This is a live interview, apparently, with David Michery, and the individual doing the interview is Financial Journey, which I've never been a huge fan of people that call themselves by the name of their channel. Like, I know my name's really Marantz. This guy, Financial Journey. Have you talked to Financial Journey? No, I don't even know who the hell that is. But I know that this guy this is a pre-recorded interview that he's running as a premiere. Softballed all the questions to David Michery. We haven't even watched it. I have not watched this. It's going on right now live. I'm going to watch it with you. I had a whole show set up, but I want to watch what the hell this liar has to say. So here I go. I'm going to push play.
Journey. So today I just want to share my interview with David. Went over a lot of the questions that I've already brought up on previous videos on production, dilution, capacity. A lot of different points were all brought up. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know in the comments as well while the interview is playing if there is anything that tentatively does stand out to you, and if there is any potential questions going forward that maybe is unanswered, let me know in the comments. And with that, let's get right to it. What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I got the one and only David Michery with me today. How are you doing, David?
Good, and you?
I'm doing phenomenal. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, and I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, of course. If you don't mind, we can get right to it. Starting off with production. So obviously given the latest PR and so forth, could you talk on as far as production when it's slated to start, both in the M1, M3 category, and just capacity if you are aware of that?
Sure. So again, we announced publicly on multiple occasions that the Class 3 startup manufacturing will occur this July, which is right around the corner, and we'll have sellable vehicles that'll leave in August and September. So we anticipate that we'll be able to, book that revenue. Most of the vehicles that are coming out this year are accounted for, meaning customers are waiting for them. So we're pretty excited about that. And
what about the M1? So I know you mentioned obviously it's been.
So this is why I don't like interviews like this. It's a clip and an edit right there, as it is. For his backdrop, he's using a green screen. It's not a real car, and it's not really him. And for any CEO that's speaking this way about their company, and he has to keep looking down at his notes about what he wants to say, that just means he knows nothing about this. This is a fake right here. Moving your hands and all the body language in the world, like you're nervous and you're repositioning yourself. This is absolute tells for me that this man is not to be believed. I'm just letting you know. I've been there. I've been in the rooms. I've been in the interrogation rooms. If you guys don't know, it's what I used to do for a living. So it's just unbelievable, the body language from this so-called CEO who has to keep looking down at his notes about his company. But here we go.
Stated before. Do you have any update on, for instance, the M1?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So start of manufacturing will occur in August, and we'll have sellable vehicles in September, and we're excited about that. These will be great vehicles with a lot of anticipation and demand for them. Again, the only all-electric Class 1 in the market. So not to say that somebody else isn't trying to get in there. We're there. We're there now. Not tomorrow. Not next month. We're there. So yeah, we've been aggressively ramping up to meet the demands. So we're hoping that we don't have no glitches in the systems. As you start to run equipment and you have vehicles moving, you get injuries, you get all sorts of things when you got a lot of people doing a lot of things. But hopefully, logistically, we feel we got the right guy heading the helm down there in Tunica. His name's John Taylor. And I'll reiterate, if people don't know who he is or really didn't pay attention, when we brought him on board, it took a long time to get that guy to come join us, right? We had to pull him out of a couple of other positions, but primarily he spent the bulk of his career at General Motors. And Elon, when he decided he wanted to start Tesla, went to Detroit and grabbed some top tier talent, and one of those guys was John Taylor. And it's, highly known that John Taylor was one of the first 50 employees, 50 employees at Tesla. John built the architecture for Fremont, as well as the architecture for the Model S. And John is building the architecture for the Fremont location, or built the architecture for the Fremont location, and is readjusting the architecture in Mishawaka for B1, B2, and MULN 5 production. So, we got a rock star. I call him a rock star. He doesn't like that, but we got a rock star in our team that proven that he can do that. So he built the architecture for the facilities and the architecture for the Class 1, Class 3, MULN 5, Bollinger B1, B2. Anything that comes out of MULN will be a John Taylor hands-on project. The guy's really good.
Oh.
And he did that for General Motors for a real long time. So, General Motors to Tesla.
Oh, that's good to know.
So the general public can know that, it's in good hands.
Definitely. And as far as the production for kicking off in August for the M1, is that both the campus and the cargo van, or is that just the cargo? Oh, what's the breakdown of that?
Yeah, so Class 1 is the full high-speed vehicle, meaning vehicle that can obviously drive anywhere it wants to drive, right? Obviously, it's limited to range, but you can get on any highway, you can go anywhere. We call it a high-speed vehicle. We announced earlier that the Class 1, the high-speed vehicle, was fully compliant for crash testing and safety, which are the two main factors for homologation, right? We're also going to announce that these vehicles, so that it's clear that these are high-speed vehicles, right?
And are you aware of, capacity once production is kicked off for both M1 and M3?
Okay, so as of today, June 29th, right, we estimate 660 units between now and the end of 2023 that will leave the factory from a Class 1 perspective. And we estimate 930 units of the Class 3 will leave the factory to customers between now and the end of 2023. Okay, and then in 24, we're going to have 368 Class 1 one-seaters, and then we're introducing a two-seater, which will produce 11,000. So there'll be 11,000 Class 1 two-seaters and 368 Class 1 one-seaters. Right now, if you ask the question, one-seater, well, you get some companies that, really these vehicles are designed for last, mile delivery, and it's a one-person job. It's not a two-person job. So we took that into account. We felt that would be a very small percentage of the business. The bulk of the business would be a two-seater, and that's why we'll have 11,000 units hit the market in 24. As far as the Class 3, we're going to have 3,000 units in 24.
Oh.
So 930 units between now and the end of this year, and 3,000 in 24. Now, that's a lot bigger vehicle. It's a Class 3, right? 10,000 pounds or greater, and obviously a higher price point. And more of what I would call a larger capacity commercial vehicle, can configure to any specification, and that's what's unique about it.
That's pretty good. I think a lot of investors will love to hear those capacity amounts. On my channel, though, when I do typically cover MULN videos and cover obviously the day-to-day interactions, I usually bring up short interest, and obviously given the amount of shorting that has been happening, do you have any updates as far as share intel that you'd like to share with us?
Okay, so we publicly announced that we had hired Share Intel, and we publicly announced that we were concerned about being on the NASDAQ Reg SHO list on a regular basis. I mean, that's public information. Anybody can go to NASDAQ and look at that list. We continue to be on that list. So we hired them, and they're doing their job. And other than that, right now, I can't give out any additional information that hasn't already been publicly disclosed. For your protection and my protection, I think that the general public should all hear the information together at one time, and we definitely, we'll address them when we have more information to address them with.
Okay, that's good to know. Actually, you did bring up NASDAQ, and I think one part that's really confused a lot of investors is whether or not MULN is actually NASDAQ compliant. Can you help, I guess, shed some light on that, and what's your perspective on where MULN stands?
Sure. Okay, so I want to be real clear about this. MULN is fully compliant other than the minimum bid requirement. Fully compliant other than the minimum bid requirement.
Okay, so just that $1 and
$1 bid requirement.
Yeah. Did NASDAQ give you any?
Like every other guy in the space.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not named Tesla.
Yeah, no, definitely. Have they given you any other date tentatively other than, I think it's September the 6th, if I remember correctly?
It might be September 7th. It was publicly disclosed. We're going to work really hard to be compliant. And
that means
we feel very confident in our ability to, again, it comes down to fundamentals, right? I mean, you and I have talked about this in the past. Look, there's a lot of guys that just talk, right? And we're one of them too, right? You got to stop talking. You got to put your head down, and you got to work, and you got to deliver. You asked me why have I been quiet? I said, listen, I'm tired of talking. I just want to execute. I want to put my head down. I want to dig into the trench and fight like hell. So right now, it's not just me, it's the sentiment, it's the culture within this company. We're the underdog. We want to work harder than anybody else. There's no vacations, there's no weekends, there's no 8-hour days. If I have to work 24/7, everybody else has to do that with me. If I have to sleep, in a factory, then everyone's going to sleep with me in a factory. If I have to...
I just want to put this out. Lawrence, his employee, the one that he gave $50,000 to and a contract for $5 million, is not working. His ass is having backyard parties with snow bunnies. Right? I just want to make this clear, and I'm pretty sure he was the one holding the camera. I can't even get through this guy. This guy's such a liar. This is crazy. Like, he's working, like he's screwing shit in. Oh, I'm done.
Physically pick up a screwdriver and screw something in, I'm going to do it. Okay? I told a family member the other day that I am going to be damned if I'm going to allow anybody to beat me and say that I didn't do something that I promised that I was going to do. I mean, again, like I told you, you got to kill me to stop me. And I know that these guys literally want to kill me. Again, like I'm the, cause of, I guess, according to, what I read out there, and sometimes it's, pretty good. It's amusing, right? I get blamed for the economy, right? We were talking earlier this morning about someone blamed Joe Biden and David Michery for the collapse of the economy. I'm like, how the hell did I have anything to do with that?
Well, I'll tell you how. People put money into your company, and now they're down 99%. And you're not even addressing the fact that you've made $40 million and haven't delivered not one vehicle ever. So excuse me with the estimates, David, but you are a full-blown criminal at this point. So that's why people are tying you in with Biden, and you, rightfully so.
It's bad enough being blamed for the collapse of the EV sector. I wish I had that kind of credit and that kind of power to do that. But anyway, again, all seriousness, I want to do as much as I can to try to bring value to our shareholders and create an environment within our company, a culture of hard work, a good work ethic, deliveries, just do as you say. And we are.
That's good to know. Yeah, I think a lot of investors really want to hear that. And I guess given the stock price sometimes hasn't really correlated with what you've been doing behind the scenes, but truly given how low the stock has actually gone, I am actually curious, have you bought any, or I guess, do you plan on buying any physical shares of MULN in maybe the foreseeable future? I
can't, again, I can't say something that hasn't already happened. Again, and it hasn't been already disclosed publicly. All I can tell you is that if something like that were to happen, everybody would know all at the same time. And, again, I cannot disclose any non-material, non-public material information without it, being already disseminated, to the general public. But that's a good question. And I know that, we'll be addressing the general public soon.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Obviously, the shareholder meeting is coming up fairly soon, in around a month and a bit. There was one part I did want to bring up to you and just get your perspective. Can you, I guess, explain why MULN does want to move from being a Delaware corporation to a Maryland corporation?
Well, honestly, first and foremost, and there's some really good points here, and I'm going to share these points so that all of the other guys in the space maybe want to do what we're doing, because when you're trying to mitigate as much cost as possible, and you want to stretch every dime as far as you can in a market where things are really, really tough, you look for every opportunity to save money, right? And in Maryland, Maryland has no franchise tax for corporation. That's first, no franchise tax, right? Maryland law offers additional protections in the.
So this is the part where they're like giving away what they're doing. He's giving him pre-made questions. He's reading his notes on how to answer those questions. It has nothing. This is all a pub piece. This is fake. A real interview and a real conversation would happen fluid, and it wouldn't have edits and cuts. But they filmed it a day before, took out the parts they wanted, and then he's reading his notes for the pre-made questions that he's allowed to ask. This is all for clicks and views. This is for manipulation. Financial Journey, you're being used. And you probably don't care, because who cares? You're just reporting the information. But if you were really standing up for MULN institution, the MULN, investors, you wouldn't do interviews like this. I don't care if it is the CEO. You would actually ask him the real question. Why is he selling? Why is he diluting? Why is he doing reverse stocks with 1 day notice? Why is he doing anything? He's not making money for the company. He's making money for himself.
The event of an unsolicited takeover attempt, right, on a company. So you always have to think about that. And being public, and when your stock is, in my opinion, right, I believe the share price that right now doesn't reflect the true value of the company. That's just my opinion. And something like that could leave the company open to potential, hostile takeover or anything. I mean, anything can happen when you have $250 million in cash in the bank and you're trading at I don't know what. I looked at Yahoo this morning and it said that it had like a $26 million market cap or whatever the hell. I mean, come on. Like, how do you have a market cap that's 10 times less than the cash on hand? I mean, you got to be crazy.
Nope.
So, so you got to look at any potential issue that could arise. And one of the things we wanted to do.
David, your market cap's around 60 to 70 million. You should know that about your company. The float's infinite. But beyond that, how do you have an annual salary that's higher than the market cap? That's the part where it's got to be crazy. That's the part where you take your money and you go buy the shares back up because you believe in your work and your job. But you'll never do that.
Do was to protect the company and protect our shareholders. So if we could mitigate the franchise tax fee for corporations, and we could get additional protections against takeovers and to protect our shareholders' interest. Why wouldn't we do that? And we've outlined a lot of these things in our proxy. If you take a look at the definitive 14A, we list the benefits of Maryland. And that's really the real reason. If it's just me trying to save money and look for protection, that's all.
Yeah, obviously similar, like you mentioned already. It's just on social media, so a lot of people always take a lot of context and kind of run with it in a different direction than maybe what is being meant by the company. So I think that's why I wanted to ask that question. There was a PR recently came out, I think it was last week, talking on how MULN has sufficient amount of cash for the next 12 months. Does that mean that dilution is paused? And what does that mean for the current and future warrants?
Okay, so we publicly announced that the Series D preferred holders are gone. Okay, and what that means is it means they have no more rights. They exercise. We were hoping that they didn't exercise their last, option, which was at their discretion. That option expires on June 30th, 2023, which is tomorrow. They picked it up on June 23rd, I believe. They picked up that option, but after that, they're pretty much done. So what that means is we've had them in our deal for 2 years, I think approximately about 2 years since we went public, right? And so the thought is, once we get through this last 100 million that they exercised on June 23rd, we're done. Meaning, they got to convert out, their preferred and their warrants, and then they go away. They do bye-bye. And unfortunately, at the time that we went public, there were not a lot of people, willing to give us money. I think one of the biggest knocks on us, as I recall, back in November when we had gone public a few years ago, was, hey, these guys don't have any money. The joke was, look at their financials. They have like $345 on their balance sheet, which really wasn't a real true accurate depiction, but still we really didn't have a lot of money. Like, we didn't come out of the box like all the other SPACs with hundreds of millions of dollars. When we did the deal with Net Element on the RTO, we got $10 million. I mean, it really, in comparison to what everybody else got, wasn't a lot of money.
But you're not a real business.
We made do. We had been around for over a decade, and we know how to survive on minimal capital, and we maximize every penny. So, we don't have to spend $1 billion, to get to production, and we've proven that, right? We've proven that more than over and over again, meaning take a look at where we're at today and take a look at a lot of the other guys that are in the space that have spent billions, and I use the word with the B. We've not spent billions. If you take a look at everything we've spent, it's probably less than half of that. And look at the assets we have. We own a factory. We own a factory that General Motors probably spent well over $1 billion. I know that the paint shop alone at Michery, just to relocate that paint shop to Mexico, one of our competitors, when we were trying to buy, the assets, we were told by Door that they gave this particular company a quote of $500 million to move just the paint shop to Mexico, right? So obviously, I see the value in just what's there. So from our perspective, we've acquired tangible assets, real estate, production capabilities, and we've spent less than half of what the closest competitor to us has spent, who doesn't have a factory, who doesn't have what we have.
So this sounds like politicians at work. This is all political theater, basically. He's trying to deflect like what other people are doing, not what he's doing. He literally has ruined this company from inside out. So that's what I hear. Can't trust this guy.
Yet they're trading at a multiple 10 times greater than us. So I usually look at this and I say to myself, at some point, I gotta ignore the noise, and I just gotta filter it out, and I gotta just execute. And I believe the stock will take care of itself. I have a really good friend. I've known him for many, many years, and he used to be one of the principals at a company called Bear Stearns, and then he was at Prudential. And, I was talking to him, I said, I don't understand why I'm getting such a beat down. I mean, look, I know this is beyond dilution. I mean, I don't think dilution at the level, and I see what these guys convert, and I can look at that, and I know that it's nowhere near what potentially could cause even a minor slippage. And so it's the same guys that have been in for 2 years, and we've never had this problem before, and they were selling at the same levels. So this, I think a lot of this has to stem from a massive group of people that are betting against the company. And if you want to call that short, you can do that. It's making a bet. They're betting that the company's going to fail. And so that's kind of, and if you call that a short, you call it a short. I don't, but it's the bet that they're making. I'm betting that the company's going to succeed. And why? Because the company's been here for well over a decade.
Okay, first off, the company it hasn't been around for well over a decade. He didn't get there till 2014. And I believe it was like 2013 when Coda went bankrupt and sold the cars to them. So this whole well over a decade bullshit, get out of here with that. And what is he talking about? He's betting. He's not betting anything. And a bet makes money of your own. Like you put your own money up, your own capital. He's done none of that. He literally is using shareholder money, and he's living the life. This whole I'm working. Why do you have a green backdrop, green screen backdrop? Why don't you have an actual vehicle behind you? Why don't you have an actual sign behind you? You don't have anything. You're not even in an office. Who knows where the hell you're at? And look at this. Your interviewer, he has his eyes shut. I'm so sorry.
It's not like a lot of these other SPACs that popped up overnight because of the SPAC craze and really don't have anything that's tangible. We've garnered so much experience over the last 14 years. This company's learned a lot. It's learned to be an automotive manufacturer. I've learned how to be fiscally responsible.
Yeah, you've been the CEO for a decade and you just learned right now. They didn't start selling shares, guys, until like last year. He didn't get any of his shares, anything, until 2021. He's been here for over a decade, right? But he's run 4 other companies to the ground. Bankruptcy. Here's another one.
I don't brag about it, but I think no one works harder than me, right? No one has more to prove than me.
Oh no, you're right on that. You have more. No one has more to prove than you. But you think you work harder than somebody? David, I called your office yesterday. You weren't there.
So from my perspective, I'm on a mission. I could care less, what, people say or want to do to me. I get attacked all day, every day. I get attacked, sometimes rightfully so, because I am, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. And I'm responsible for every single person in this company. I'm responsible for every single promise. Yeah. And so I accept full responsibility. And go out there and I work extra hard to make sure that things happen. I'm pushing guys that have spent 42 years with General Motors, pushing them harder than they've ever been pushed before, because I want MULN to be the difference. I want to be, and I understand the sentiment out there by the retail. I have sympathy with the retailers. They're in all of these different EV companies, and all they see is the same thing over and over again. Doesn't matter if it's Rivian, if it's Lucid, if it's Canoo, it doesn't matter who it is. It's the same result. Right? So what can I do to be different? Well, I could stop by listening to the noise. I could put my head down and say, let my actions speak. Today, we put out a PR. I could speak about that. We announced that, we sold some vehicles, and we're proud of that because we're going to reflect that on our 10Q as we stated publicly. And, again, there's no reason for the stock to do what it's doing. And if it were anybody else in any other space that announced something like substantive like that, the stock would react in a much better fashion. But it's okay. I understand, right? It's baby steps, right? It's one step at a time. One step at a time, right? We're going to go from point A to point Z one step at a time. There's no, genie in the bottle, right? But I will tell you this, everything we said we're going to do, we are going to do and then some. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, right, people will acknowledge our hard work and our efforts and reward us by giving us a better valuation, more in line with where I believe we deserve to be.
Okay, so where do you think you deserve to be, David? You have $250,000 cash. You burn, I'm just going to be fair, $70 million a quarter, and you have zero profits. Absolute zero profits in your company for a decade of work. The only way you can be compliant with NASDAQ is to do a reverse stock split, which you have to do by September. So you tell me, how bad is it about to be for every investor in this company? It's at 10 cents a share right now as we speak. You got it there. It was $1.28 just, 2 months ago. But you decided to dilute, sell. You just gifted shares to someone. You just sold shares. No, you are not working hard. I'd be surprised if you ever sweat in your life.
Again, we've hired a lot of people. I made a promise. No one comments about the promise that I made to employ a lot of Americans, to put Americans back to work. I've done exactly that to the tune of 400 people. No one comments on that, right? They figure, oh, well, he did that, so we don't need to attack him on that because we know he did that.
200 people. 200 people, and you spent $1 billion the last 2 years on your company. And 200 employees is what you hired. $1 billion spent cash, 200 people. No way. There's just no way. I know. Can you imagine? I don't even want to say it this way because it sounds too wrong. I have more employees than that. Oh, man. I work with more people than that, and I know how much they get paid, and they all get paid more than what you're paying your people, and it didn't cost $1 billion to do it. So I call bullshit. You're the highest paid guy in the world. 200 people, and you're over here talking about it. 400 people. I don't even know what you said. I don't even care if it's 2 or 4. I don't care.
But that's really the most important thing here at the end of the day, right? Not taking jobs away from people. I'm sitting here hearing every day that so-and-so laid off 200 people. This guy laid off 1,000 people. That guy laid off 500 people. That guy filed for Chapter 7. That guy filed for Chapter 11. Look at all these people losing jobs.
You're doing it again. You're deflecting. Worried about what other people are doing. You're not addressing what your company's doing. If you're so great 10 years in and you have all these jobs you're forming, why are you doing hiring events right now? You just did one yesterday. You did a job fair. Why is production not going? Why does it take another month or 2 for production to get going? What are you waiting on? What are you stalling on?
I think that impacts America more than anything. I want to be the guy that employs these guys, that gives them a reason to want to do great things. I want to open up the books and let these guys run wild and follow their dreams and help make America, a great manufacturing powerhouse as it's been since inception. One of the great things about America is that we can all get together and work as a team, and we can accomplish any goal. When World War II happened, we were faced with, a major task, which was to produce aircrafts, produce military vehicle, produce, things in order to avert a potential threat that could engulf the entire planet. And at that time, women were working in the factories while men were fighting, producing goods, weapons, vehicles.
When you fight at war, you don't produce goods. What he's trying to say is absolutely ignorant. By the way, he's not American born, by the way. So he says we during World War II. I don't know what country he's from. But he's not from America. Just gonna.
And, the whole industrial revolution, right? The power that the American people have, the will, the might, and the ingenuity and the technology, all of these things, we could work together to create, to push forward. And at that time, we were able to defeat a very formidable opponent.
So who's your opponent right now, David Michery? Like, what are you doing? You're saying that people are going to gather up and build stuff? Is that because you want to buy it? Because Lord knows you don't want to produce anything. You haven't. Ever. Not one car.
Who was threatening the, world peace, right? Yeah. So I think today, America is faced with another kind of battle. And that battle is
overpriced CEOs.
Forces are not attacking us with military weapons and attacking us with with bombs and war. They're attacking us by within, removing jobs from America, taking technology away, making us dependent on outside entities for our products. When we used to be the country that produced the products that supplied the world, we've become more of a service-related country rather than a country that builds and makes things. We got to get back to building and making things. MULN is building and making things, and I'm very active in doing that. And my people and every single person in here has the work ethic that they're with these things, with hands, we build great things and we power forward no matter what happens, no matter how we're attacked, no matter, like I said, you got to kill us to stop us. We still got $250 million worth of cash. We still have a factory that we own free and clear. We still have vehicles. We still have assets. You can manipulate as much as you want. You can attack as much as you want. You're not going to stop us. We're an American company that's working together. United, we stand, and we will fight till the end, and we will win. We will.
Bro, this guy is doing a rahrah speech. Holy shit. This is what the piece is. Rahrah. Holy hell.
When there's no loss, right? We are persistent and we're determined to win. And how we do that is by delivering fundamentals. This is a fundamentals, right? Right now, I look at this and people are trading us based on technicals, what they see. They're not trading us based on fundamentals. And it's funny because in the past, people would say, you got to trade people based on fundamentals. Well, I guess I don't know what happened to that, but it's okay. Again, a great friend of mine, who I've known for a long time, who, again, was one of the main guys over at Bear Stearns and Prudential, said to me, ignore the noise, put your head down, execute. And
you know what? I want to know something. Why Financial Journey? Why are you doing this interview? Why did you even do this? If you're not going to ask any follow-up questions, i.e. rebuttal questions, you're not going to go in there and be like, oh, hold on, David. Like, you can't tell us if you're going to buy shares or not. But let me ask you, don't you feel like your salary, $40 million, warrants that? Some type of financial backing of any kind to show investors that you're with them, like there's solitude there? What is it? What compensation package or pay cut are you willing to take, considering we're reading the balance sheet and it's not faring well for the investor? I don't know what he's talking about right now. This is all, like I said, it's all a bunch of bullshit from a scammer, a con artist.
And the stock will eventually correct itself. He says, let it go where it's going to go. Don't kill yourself over it. Don't watch it every day. Ignore it. Don't go to social media. Stay away from the boards. Don't discourage yourself. Be focused, be direct, and things will, if you're an honest person, you're doing good things, you're working hard, good things will happen to you. Eventually, the bad guys that are trying to tear you down eventually go away or get themselves into trouble and go to jail. It's funny how they make threats about, all of these things. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to hurt you, we're going to, all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah, you're the victim.
All because they want to create this downward pressure that they can capitalize on. At the end of the day, what are they doing? They're trying to, quote unquote, capitalize on downward momentum. And they create that downward, momentum by lies, right? I don't want to say fake news, but they go out there and they lie and they scare a guy like you who maybe believes in something but is afraid that, hey, I can't take, another beat down. So I had enough of that,
But when it does come down to, for instance,
how many cuts and edits was that? Holy shit.
So you've mentioned, I guess, a lot of people spreading potentially fake information or just to spread fear and so forth. Once again, to cycle back to share until, I know you can't share any specifics, but do you have more of a time frame on when you anticipate any potential update to share investors or to investors?
You'll know when I know, and the general public will know when you and I know.
Okay, fair enough. Actually, based on today's PR, you do reference about pilot programs. Is there any update that you'd like to share? And if so, what does that look like in the future?
So we disclosed publicly today that we have
All right, guys.
multiple pilots that are ongoing.
I've seen enough of this con artist. I really have. I know you guys want to hang out today. Oh, there's another one. I like him. Here's what's going on with the stock, by the way. It's falling to pieces ever since this guy started doing this interview. Hopefully he bought in more shares. Anyway, I got to get going. I'm coming back. There's nobody worse than Dave Michery compared to Adam Aaron. It's not even close, dude. Dave Michery's the worst. But I'll get back to you guys. I'm going to come back. I just want to see what that video is all about, that live stream. I'm going to take a nap. And then I'm going to get up and I'll do my live stream this afternoon. It'll be a good one. I promise. He got his script from the Silver Snake himself. Yeah, I mean, they're just terrible. They're using YouTubers to manipulate people. David Michery, no pre-recorded interviews here, bro. Never gonna happen. Sorry. I'll be back, bros. I'm gonna take a nap. As you can see, I'm falling asleep left and right. These guys are terrible. Peace.